Let's talk about some issues to address. Got big money problems happening. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Schefter, earlier when Tom Brady first became a minority owner of the Raiders, people brought up hey, this is a conflict of interest. This cannot happen. And then it kind of just went away until we saw him in the booth on Monday night with a headset on. And then the report came out, hey, he's actually talking with Chip Kelly 5 to 6 times a week, kind of breaking down the game plan and setting up what they're going to be doing on Sundays. And a lot of people weren't happy about it. From what you're hearing around the league or people that you're talking to, is this going to come to a head at some point? Because I assume that most teams think this is and they're irate about it.
I think there are certain people, like there are coaches that don't like it. But look, here's the deal. Tom Brady's on the production team. He's coming into your building. You could tell him whatever you want or not tell him whatever you want. And Tom is smart enough and has seen enough football that he could scout those players and know what he needs to know about those players without hearing it from the coaches too. I understand the appearance of it all, the conflict of it all, but I'm not worked up over it like some people are. I don't think it's a huge deal to me. Like, he is a limited partner in the team. If he wants to go sit in the booth with headphones on and can offer
call plays,
go do what he wants to do. It's his team.
Scored 9 points this day.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's in the building. He owns the team.
Might help.
Can't score a touchdown. Let me get these headsets. We got Chip Kelly. Hey, you need to tighten up. What if he is just doing what Carly Ursay had been doing on the sideline?
Would be
what if Tom just wants to hear what all the coaches are saying? Let me see how they're communicating with each other. Let me see how they're talking. Because he could just be trying to evaluate his own business that he currently runs and currently owns. With that being said, a lot of other teams saying, well, why would we if this guy's strategizing for another team, why would we let him in? And then Ben Johnson came out and said, we don't care.
Yeah.
This is what Ben Johnson had to say about Tom Brady being in the booth and then also having to play the Raiders.
He wasn't the only one.
He's affiliated with the Raiders, obviously, who you play next week. Are you going to do that pre-production meeting and be careful kind of how much you divulge?
I mean, I've been careful everything I've said since the season started. I've been in pure coach speak mode.
Big pop.
To me, it's just business as usual. I'm just fine. I like Tom, and we have a really good relationship. So,
to Pat's question on Brady, you've got one of the most competitive people in the history of the sport prying around for information in
the world.
Very paranoid world. How do you reconcile the conflict of interest that exists with the whole situation?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm really not worried about it. I mean, we change week to week in terms of what we do. Schematically, he's going to be able to turn on the tape and see what everyone else in the world's seeing right now. Personnel-wise, really the same thing. It's not like I'm going to sit down with him and tell, hey, don't do this to Caleb Williams or you might get it. Like, I'm not going to. There's not going to be any trade secrets that are going to be exchanged. But I really don't think it's that big of a deal, to be honest with you.
On that note, Schefter, our source have told us that a lot of those meetings with Tom have become coach, coordinator, player, PR person asking Tom questions about what Tom would do in situations or how, like quarterbacks have been taking the opportunity to pepper Tom Brady with questions, and he's been very open, allegedly, wanting to give back to the game. So interesting storyline here that's developing, but with how paranoid all NFL teams are and how paranoid NFL fans have become, especially with what the Patriots have been caught up in, in very public stuff, this is a perfect storyline for some real conspiracy. But I think what the actuality of it right now, who knows what 2 years now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, however long this goes. But right now, I think it's a lot of people getting info from Tom.
By the way, everybody should be going to him for advice. Everybody in the organization, he can help everybody. Like, he should be helping the coaches on play calls and giving the personnel department ideas on players he likes and talking to the players about being more pliable. Like, yeah, I mean, there's a reason he's the GOAT, And by the way, Ben Johnson wasn't the only coach. Brian Schottenheimer came out and said he doesn't care what he says to Brady in a meeting, and Sean Payton came out and said he doesn't care. So you're hearing a lot of head coaches. Are there other people who are leery? Sure, there are. I'm sure there are. Big deal. Again, if he's coming into your building, you control what you tell him. Just like if there's a reporter that calls up, like I can ask, hey, what's going on with the draft? They're not going to tell. Well, here's our board, Adam. We're going to. Okay, but don't tell anybody, right? Like, I mean, you're going to be selective with what you share and who you share it with.
Yeah, Schefter, I wanted to talk to you about 0-2 teams. I think there's different levels to 0-2 teams, and the top level, everyone I think assumes, is the Kansas City Chiefs, but they are still 0-2 with tough games against the Chargers and the Eagles last weekend. Is there any sort of panic that you're hearing coming out of KC, or is it not panic at all? Because they've started season slow, just like the Patriots used to start some seasons slow, and they're probably going to be there in the end.
Well, I don't think there's panic there, but there are issues that they have to work through and correct to turn it around, because we looked at it since 2000. I think there have been 118 teams that have started 0-3 over the last 25 years. And of those 118, the 2018 Houston Texans turned around and made the playoffs. So, the Chiefs' margin of error is gone, and they're in a division where the Chargers are better than people realize. The Broncos obviously lost last week, but they're expected to have a good season. The Raiders have been tough. So I think they're in a tough division, in a tough conference. You can lose games, and yes, we all know the talent and brains that are there, so we expect them to turn it around. But if they happen to lose Sunday night in New York to go to 0-3, that's a little bit of a problem. And right now, they're missing explosive players on the offense side of football. It looks like they have a chance to get back Xavier Worthy on Sunday night. Jalen Royals, the rookie wide receiver, could be back. That'll also help some. So they need some reinforcements until Rashee Rice can come back in week 7. But 0-2, you're behind the 8 ball. And so you just feel like you're playing catch up all year long. It's tough physically. It's tough mentally. They've won Super Bowls. They've got a champs mentality. They've got talent. But at 0-2, you've got some things that you got to work through.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Matt Rhule.
Yeah, Coach!
How you doing, Coach?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Life is good. Thank you so much for joining us. How is life over there in Nebraska? Obviously, we've been winning by a lot. We've been setting precedent. Now we got a huge one where you're underdogs at home. What is the mindset this weekend?
I think we're excited. This is an excellent football team coming in. It's the Big Ten opener. And as you said, it's a ranked opponent. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere here. And we think we have a pretty good team. So we're expecting a heck of a game. A lot of fun.
The Bussin' Bowl is obviously what this has been dubbed, because Taylor Lewan, I think a 5-star recruit out of high school, first-round draft pick, incredibly handsome, very tall, represents Michigan. Mm-hmm. And Will Compton, the walk-on, undrafted, busted grill, 9-year linebacker special team dog, represents the Nebraska Cornhuskers from the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. Obviously, they've tried to make this a thing for a few years now. This year feels like getting very real in the momentum. And I feel like you guys have your best team for this, and I think Michigan, as being favored, they feel in a good spot as well. Is this the perfect time for the Bussin' Bowl to actually launch into real in-season hype and expectation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we played the game 2 years ago, and it was, everyone was here. Will was here. Taylor was here. And, we didn't, they were a much better team, and it wasn't a very close game. And so, it'll be a great game. It's two really good teams, and it's what the Big Ten should be all about. Good rivalries. We're not too far away from each other. I'm sure they'll bring a lot of fans. Our fans will be ready, and it'll be a great college football game to go along with all the other games.
All right, let's talk about the on-field stuff. Cincinnati was able to run a little bit first night, obviously. Quarterback able to move as well. Is that the big conversation point for your team? Is we're going to have to stop Michigan's run, even though Biff is the acting head coach and he let Bryce spin it a little bit more than maybe Sharon. But we got to stop the run? Is the only mindset on the defensive side?
Yeah, they're 15th in the country in rushing offense, and to your point, last week, quarterback was the leading rusher. So the things that bothered us against Cincinnati, they ran for 200 yards, and over 100 of that was the quarterback. Just Sorsby from Cincinnati dropped back and found a hole and ran, and we didn't have a great answer for it. Obviously, that hasn't hurt us the past 2 weeks, but we're facing a whole different animal now. And so, big physical O-line. That's what Michigan football is, right? They're gonna run the ball and stop the run. It's true Big Ten football, and now they have a quarterback who can also run. So our guys are gonna have to defend the run and defend the quarterback run, to play well.
Have you seen Bryce at Big Ten days? Have you seen this 17-year-old as of a month ago, now 18-year? Have you had eyes on this guy in real life?
No, I haven't. It's weird now with the Big Ten because there's 18 teams. They do 3 days, and they do I think 6 teams each. Of the 5 other teams than us, The only team that we played while we were there was Maryland. It was Rutgers, it was Ohio State, it was a bunch of teams that we don't even face this year. So it's really like the NFL, man. You don't know who you're going to face. Even the Bussin' Bowl, we faced him 2 years ago, not last year. We faced him this year. It's a rotating schedule, but he's really talented, elite recruit, and he's done a great job for them. We think we have a really good quarterback too, and so excited to go compete.
Yeah, tell me about Dylan. Obviously, this is the biggest game of the year. Much more comfortable where he's at. Emmett, obviously, a dog in the backfield. Tell us about your offense a little bit, taking on this Michigan defense with, a defense that hunts over there in Michigan. Always going to bring a lot of different disguises and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's Wink Martindale. He's one of my favorite coordinators in the National Football League. He's brought it to college. I mean, they're elite up front. They can blitz. They can show a bunch of different stuff to you. But we have a really smart quarterback in Dylan. He can try to get us in the right play. He can try to get us in the right protection when he's fooled. He's done a great job. He's completing 70-some% of his passes, yet he hasn't thrown an interception, and really only one that even had a chance to be intercepted. So he's a really, really smart football guy. You would love him. He's a football guy. He's in here all week studying. Like last week, we finished the game last week. I went to Vegas to watch Bud Crawford, and he's texting me pictures of him in his house. He's already watching Michigan. He's trying to outwork me, and so I respect our quarterback Dylan quite a bit. So it'll be a great chess match, him versus that Michigan defense with what they do.
Hey, Coach, hope you're enjoying Allegiant Stadium in big Las Vegas. This is what I got going on. How about Bud? Obviously a Nebraska guy. Anybody can be a nobody. We had him on the show earlier this week, and he was talking about how everybody doubted all the people that he fought in his record, and he basically said anybody can turn into a nobody whenever he looks at it. And I seen you kind of adopted that as well with the messaging that you're sending the players. I think that your strength coach was talking about it in your office.
Yeah, no doubt. Since I've gotten here, I've always known who obviously Terence Bud Crawford is, but getting to know him, he's elite. He talked to the team last year, let us out against Colorado, and literally there was no chance we were going to lose once he spoke to the team and he started walking up that tunnel. I was like, man, this is different here. Pound for pound king. And then, I went to his send off, and he had so much respect for Canelo. He was talking about how they're both first ballot Hall of Famers. Yet when they went to the weigh-in, I showed our team. He wasn't talking about if I beat him, if this, if that. He risked his whole legacy. He was talking about when. He's never even been knocked down. And so we went to that fight, man. I was so fired up, so happy. You talk about a big day for the Cornhuskers, man. He's got the Nebraska N on his mouthpiece as he's fighting. We go backstage afterwards and see him, and all his guys are all wearing Husker red. He's loyal. And so it's a great message for our guys, man. No stage is too big for you when you put the work in and you believe in yourself.
Oh, I love that. Coaches being able to utilize anything for their own motivation, for their own team hype is glorious, let alone when you got the guy literally in your backyard. I was talking to people that were in the boxing world a little bit, and they're like, hey, Canelo moved. He's he's living his life. He's had a couple $100 million for a long time. Maybe things a little bit different. Bud still lives in Omaha. He's got 7 kids. Like he is, still, I don't want to say in the grind, but still very much doesn't even realize basically the money or hasn't done any of that. And I picked Canelo to win because I thought he was heavier on the show. I did that. And I got a call that night from 3 people that were like, yo. Bud still. Did you see Bud? Did you see what he looked like at the weigh-in? Have you heard the way he's talking? It's like, and he's American. We need him right now. It's like, I messed up. And then you watch that fight and it's like, in the 9th round, Bud wasn't scared. Bud was like, let's go. No. Let's go. He's heavier. He should be a harder puncher than he's ever faced. Yeah, let's go dance here. I could lose the entire fight just with one catch, and instead he stepped right into the fire. It's like massive respect for both of them, but also definitely for Bud. And we saw that end.
Oh, yeah.
We saw that end a lot. In the biggest fight of the century, they're calling it. And
that's right
on the mouth. It's a cool thing for the brand. Good for you. Week 3 obviously kicks off tonight. AFC East battle. 12.5-point spread now at ESPN Bet and multiple other books. I don't even think you can get 11.5. 12.5 feels like a lot of points for a division game on a Thursday night. How do coaches view these short weeks? And if you're these coaches, what is your messaging to your team?
Well, I've always liked the short week because, I think particularly when it doesn't go great on the prior Sunday. But yeah, this is a tough one here because division game, like you've already stated, Thursday night. Miami going up to Buffalo. But you look at the numbers and you watch the first 2 games. Buffalo is really rolling right now. Just the way the ball distribution. Josh Allen's playing at an MVP level. I just like the way their defense is coming on. You can see that at the end of the Ravens game, and then obviously last week. So, in Miami's, they've turned the ball over a little bit. So, I definitely think this is a favorable game for Buffalo, but that's a lot of points.
Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, Coach, let's say you're trying to defend Josh Allen in this offense. What can you do? Like a quarterback like Josh that is so dynamic, can beat you so many different ways. What are you telling your defense to do to try to contain this guy?
Well, it's twofold. I mean, they do such a good job of staying on time. When I watch them play, they're in sync. I mean, this is an offense that's played a lot of ball together, and I think that's really, things I always watch for in September football. You look at the teams that are playing well offensively. It's usually illustrated by a group of men that have some time on task together, and they look really, really sharp. But his ability to extend plays, and when you got quarterbacks that can, exit through the A gaps or exit through the B gaps, extend plays, and obviously turn them into huge gains. I mean, they're tough. That's a tough task for the defense, especially early in the year. Defenses, their timing, the rush lane discipline, all those things. Part of that September football, Miami's going to have it tonight because he's going to make plays, and then the other part of it, he can throw to any spot on the field. He can make any throw out there. So I just been so impressed with him the first 2 weeks.
Josh Allen, reigning MVP of the NFL. Every offseason, he's only gotten better. This offseason, he got married. We'd obviously like to congratulate him for that, but he's also gotten better somehow. This Buffalo Bills team, very fun to watch. And on the flip side, people are saying the Dolphins have gotten worse. Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach, I remember a couple years ago in Dallas when you guys were in a little bit of a rut, you went with the Gallagher gimmick, and you started smashing watermelons in the locker room. We all heard about it. We all loved it.
That's right.
When there is this much negative surrounding a team like there is the Dolphins right now, would you encourage Coach McDaniel, hey, maybe smash a few watermelons in the locker room, get the boys going, or is it a little early to bring out something like that?
I think, you have to have fun. You got to keep the energy up. I mean, that is so important, all part of the group dynamics and the challenges of every single year. So, yeah, I think the most important part is you want these guys clear-minded. But, Miami's going to have to go. It's a division game. These division games are always tight. We talked about this a little bit last week. September division games, I think, are a real challenge. So they're going to have to really do a good job taking care of the football. And as you know, Buffalo's just looks so good right now. So, and Miami's going to have to shorten the game, win the time of possession. The first 2 weeks they've been on the wrong side of the time of possession. But division games are usually tight. Like I said, that's a lot of points to give up to a division opponent.
When you look at San Francisco, a lot of people have been saying, hey, especially the way Mac Jones played on Sunday against New Orleans, if he continues to do that and he looks really good, and we know that Kyle Shanahan initially, when they traded up to number 3 a couple years ago, it was because he wanted Mac Jones, and then through discussions and whatever happens, they ended up going with Trey Lance. Is there ever a situation you can remember, or do you think Shanahan might be going through this right now, where you almost get enamored with the backup quarterback because he's playing so well, and it makes it a little bit harder to go back to whoever your starter was?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, they're really focused on winning games right now. But going back to the draft process, it's something that I learned from Ron Wolf back in 1999, and he always talked about always trusting your grade on a player, and the irony for Mac to come back around and then for Kyle and the 49ers to now get him as part of their team. I think you have to trust the draft process, because when you look at the draft process, there's so much time and energy goes into where you put the grade you put on these young men at the time, and then they have their experience, that could be different from each opportunity, injuries, and, so many things can go a different direction. So I think this is clearly a case of trusting their process, and now he's having success there, and then with that, I think it's a great situation to be in for the 49ers, because now you have two players that you feel really good about that can win and play at a high level. So hopefully Matt keeps going and keeps playing at that level. But I think this is a great spot to be in.
You said trust your draft grade. That's a Trey Lance trade that you guys bring back to Dallas. You guys really liked him, and what are you?
Yeah, definitely. That'd be definitely an example of it. When Trey became available, and it was definitely the conversation was we talked about the grade that initially had on him and the value that we thought it would take to get him there. So absolutely, I've seen it happen over and over and over again, where you got to at least bring the guy, you got to at least bring the player in, at least bring him in and take a look, have the conversation, and it really. You got to trust that draft process.
Why is it always so difficult, I think, to evaluate college quarterbacks coming out of their college program and making that transition to the NFL? I know so much relies on what's around a QB to make him successful, but it seems like since the dawn of football, it's really tough, and there's a lot of different opinions on who's going to be the guy at the next level and who's not. What do you think that is? Like, is it ever going to get easier?
I think it's always going to be a challenge because of the access, because you really. The pro experience of getting access to really truly understand the guys is so important. I personally think it's better because you're seeing more quarterback driven offenses as far as them running the ball that's now transferred to the NFL, where you used to have to project, a quarterback that was, in a primary, run first, throw it second offense, and how would he, do in third downs and things like that. Evaluate his drop back passing game and so forth. But I think you see so much more of the the quarterbacks with the athletic ability being used in college that now is being used in the NFL. I think that part has gotten a little easier. But it's just like anything. I just know for years, and the video is so much better, it's light years compared. But in the old days, if you really didn't get right next to the quarterback and feel the ball come off his hand and be at the workout, you truly didn't know the velocity. Now you got the instrumentation that there's so much data out there. Now you're on the opposite side of the evaluation curve of having maybe too much to look through and really sort down it, because at the end of the day, these guys don't. When you look at players that make it versus ones that don't, it's not. I don't think it's their physical capabilities. I think there's so much more data and information where the scouting departments do an excellent job there. It's really the emotional development and the emotional projection of how they're going to project to the professional sport life.